This case of two Reuters journalists, Kyaw and Aung San Suu Kyi, is widely seen as a test of democratic freedoms in Myanmar and a travesty of justice.
It's a manifest injustice. They were the victims of a setup, so they had documents planted on them, and then police were lying in wait to arrest them, and the whole trial was a charade, basically. What really happened is that they were investigating and reporting on a massacre of Rohingya men in a village called Indin in Rakhine State. The officials found out about it and wanted to silence them, and so they arrested them on this false pretext and subjected them to a show trial.
The Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi has said this trial has nothing to do with freedom of expression. The journalist violated the Official Secrets Act. What do you say to her?
Well, we were really disappointed to see that she would be defending this case when she has always been someone who has spoken out about the need for free speech. You know, she actually has been imprisoned in the same prison where they now sit as a political prisoner. And when she won the Nobel Peace Prize, she said, one political prisoner is one too many. You know, we must all fight to get them out. Well, that's exactly what we're now doing. And she holds the key to their liberty. So we very much hope that she will now live up to her own principles and actually release them, and in doing so set her country back on course towards the path to democracy and towards the rule of law. And we tried to make the case today to answer Aung San Suu Kyi's call, where she stood up in Hanoi and said, if anyone thinks there's been a miscarriage of justice, let them explain why that's the case.
There's been a call here for the United Nations to become more involved. It's not just Myanmar, in many countries around the world, including here in the United States. Journalists are being described as enemies.
Well, first of all, I think it's really disappointing that in the United States, which is traditionally the staunch defender of free speech and the First Amendment, that you have the president branding the press the enemies of the people and saying he's at war with the media. And that's, you know, I can't think of a case of a political prisoner around the world where I haven't reached out to the US as a partner, and you know, we're accustomed to having the US take the lead on cases like this. And in this case, they have been extremely helpful, the State Department, you know, the White House and others. But we need that kind of leadership if we're going to make headway. And essentially, you know, it's always going to be convenient for authoritarian regimes to try and silence critics. We've got to be more determined than them.
3 years ago, Amal Clooney was involved in the trial of journalists with the Al Jazeera network, jailed in Cairo. Press freedoms worldwide have worsened since then.
Unfortunately, I don't see an improvement since then. We know from organizations that track this, like the Committee for the Protection of Journalists, that the number of journalists in prison is the highest it's ever been. So demonstrably, it's not getting better. And we just have to, you know, keep fighting each case and hoping we can effect positive change.